Stripes channel. Blue Stripes is dedicated to all things Mother Teresa. I hope you've enjoyed our channel so far. Today we have for you Sister Cyril Mooney, a recipient of the Padma Shri, an educator and a social worker who will be talking about Mother.
In 1956, when I came to India. I was in Loreto House and I met this sister in her sari. And the first thing that struck me before I was even introduced to who she was the serenity and the sense of sort of holiness about her. Now I know everybody will say deja vu and looking back and all this kind of stuff, but at the time it struck me very strongly how serene she was. And at that stage she had gone through quite a lot of travail and labour and trouble to extricate herself from the Loreto nuns and set up her own setup. But she was still very close to us and has always been very close to us. And we have always been a help to her and she has been a help to us. And even still, we work very strongly with the missionaries of charity. They are constantly bringing me in all their little creatures from the slums where they find them, in the hopes that we will take them into school and educate them. So we have very, very close ties, and we are so happy that when she died, she came back to us. She was lay for a whole week in St. Thomas's Church. We had to close our school and our college so that everything would be laid at her disposal. Her sisters were welcome, and we felt so close during those periods. And incidentally, I wasn't allowed to go to her funeral because I had to go on the television and be interviewed about her in the moments when the television cameras were not on the coffin and on the cortege that had to go. And I'm afraid I caused a lot of confusion because I was asked, how do you feel now that Mother Teresa is gone? And I said, I feel very happy. And the lady who was interviewing me, her jaw dropped, and I think she said, my God, what, she must have been inside herself, what will I say next? And I said, I'm very happy because here was a person who all her life longed to be face to face with Jesus. And now she's face to face with him. So that was my reaction to when she went. And the second thing I was asked was, now, you know, she was getting so many donations and she was getting so much of everything when she was alive. Do you think that'll all stop? And I said, quite the contrary. It will get more and more and more because now she's in a position to really influence people and get them to change their ways. So these are two things I would like to share. My next thing I would like to share is the feeling I had, because for many years she was an object of adulation. Everybody thought she was wonderful. Everything seemed to go very nicely for her and so on. And I was saying to myself, you know, all the founders of congregations have all suffered. Every one of them has either been excommunicated or somehow thrown out or been challenged by someone, or there's always been a strong cross in every life. And I saw Mother Teresa sailing along nicely with good media coverage the whole time. And I was saying to myself, wonder what is her cross? And I realized what her cross was the day that the Pope was here, and there was a big mass in St. Xavier's, and she was on the dais with him. And after it was all over, I was busy chatting around with my friends, and I found myself, the place was almost empty before I moved. And as I was going down, I was walking along the red carpet, and I heard this voice behind me, Mother Cyril, and I turned round, and there she was, tiny little figure, surrounded by all the top brass of the army and the police, all practically laying themselves down on the ground so she could walk over them. And not quite, but I mean very close to it, and almost picking her up to carry her, the amount of adulation she was getting. And out she came and she said to me, come with me. She said, please come with me. And she was all alone. And I couldn't because I had my scooter in those days, so I was going to go and rescue that. But I helped her to get into the Black Maria. Now they had a Black Maria waiting to take her back. Wall to wall, soft carpeting, and a lovely armchair for her. And it suddenly struck me, this is her cross. To be so humble and so, not wanting any of this at all, and to be subjected to this constant admiration and adulation, which must have been for her, a very humiliating and a very crucifying experience. And it really struck me at that time how this is the way God has formed her, because this is her particular cross, and this particular cross is not something that will be appreciated by everyone. All the other founders and foundresses that were excommunicated, like our own foundress Mary Ward was locked up in the Poor Clare convent on bread and water and so on. These are very obvious sacrifices and very obvious sufferings which are thrust upon founders and foundresses. But her suffering was a very hidden suffering. It was one which would appear to the public as something wonderful. But in fact, for her, it was something very deeply suffering and difficult for her. So that was another area that I really appreciated so much with Mother Teresa, because one more point I will take up was the time when the elections were going on, and the MC sisters locked themselves in and said, we're not having anything to do with anybody, we have to have our election. And all kinds of rumours were going on outside, and I was approached by the BBC to be interviewed on all this. And at that stage I was able to explain, I was very happy to be able to explain the process of an election of this kind, and the way in which the sisters required to be left on their own and be allowed to pray and be deeply engrossed with God, so as to listen to the Spirit and to decide who best will lead the congregation. So these were my encounters, so to speak, with Mother Teresa. I didn't have much time I never actually sat down with her and had a conversation with her. But whenever we met in the airport or wherever we were, she always called out to me and talked to me, and we talked together. And as I say, I can't explain how deep appreciation I have for her and for the work which has caught everybody's imagination all over the world. She has really brought our attention to the poorest people. And she has never deviated from her original values. Her sisters are still living in exactly the same penury as the poor people are, except that of course they have nice white clean saris. But otherwise they're getting nothing more than the other people whom they serve and whom they work with. And I'm only up the road from her, and I know we're very close together. And I really want to pay a special tribute here to Mother Teresa. I'm very happy that you're having these 4 days. It's unfortunate that I don't have the time to be present for everything. But I do want to register my very deep appreciation for the work that has been done by the MC sisters and which continues to be done. And I recall very well the passage in the Gospel where, if you may remember, there was a whole meeting of the Sanhedrin and they were trying to stamp out Christianity. And someone said, if this is from God, it will survive no matter how much you try to stamp it out. If it is not from God, it will die a natural death. Now, Mother Teresa's work has not died a natural death. It is flourishing, it is continuing. Her sisters are numerous and hardworking, and so much good is being done by the MC sisters. And I think that this is the biggest tribute that Mother Teresa can have, is to know that the work which she started continues and hopefully will change the world. Because we have a world which at the moment is very polarized. We have our poor on one side, we have our rich on the other side, and the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And there are big meetings about everything, and great big words are used, and lots of laws and all kinds of things are passed. But the basic thing doesn't change. People are still living inside drainage pipes in Calcutta. At the same time, we have these beautiful big malls where well-off people can go and spend as much money as they like, as much money on one shopping spree as a poor family will need to live for a whole month. So we really need Mother Teresa, and we need the MC sisters to continue their work. and to continue to witness in a very, very quiet but very significant way to the wonderful person that Mother Teresa was.
Here's another question to add to your trivia bank. When and where did Mother Teresa open Gift of Love, a home to care for those infected with HIV/AIDS? The answer to this question will be given to you on Friday. The answer to Monday's question is: Mother Walk will be held on 25th September 2016, tracing the footsteps of Mother from Loreto in Delhi to Mother House. This is Simran Pradhan, and see you on Friday.